Welcome to Melanin Convos, a sisterhood of mom friends having relatable and unorthodox conversations while holding space for each other and amplifying Black voices. Welcome to Melanin Convos. I'm Nikita, your host, and today we're talking about Black motherhood and why that even matters. Black women are more likely than their counterparts to experience death and other complications due to pregnancy and delivery. Black women are constantly being told to wear this superwoman badge of honor at the expense of themselves. And unfortunately, this messaging is pushed through media, our doctors, and even sometimes our families that make us feel as though we have to keep this badge on and just downplay the experiences that we have. Today, I'm going to be talking with Milicent, who is the founder and executive director of Mesh of Mothers. Hi, Milicent.
Hi, Nikita.
I'm so happy that you're here and that we're going to have this conversation today. I think you're the perfect person to have this conversation with. So I'm really excited. How are you?
I think I'm really good. Thank you so much for having me. It's truly a privilege to be able to share what I love, what I'm passionate about, and thank you for giving me the platform to do so.
Yeah, let's we're gonna jump in with what I call a mom moment. Okay. Just break the ice a little bit.
Yeah.
So what is one, embarrassing mom moment? Like a story, something either you did or your kids did to you, something embarrassing.
Well, I have lots, but the most recent one that happened was, so typically my kids are everywhere with me, everywhere I go. I have no shame about it. I love including them in the things that I'm doing, the things that I'm passionate about, and I want them to see what mommy does.
Right.
So there was one meeting that I went to just last month with another lady, and right before we left, it was about maybe 30 minutes drive, so I make sure that they ate.
Right. They're
ate,
stacked with food and things.
Yeah, no issues. So they ate, we got in the car and we got to the meeting. We're sitting there and they're sitting beside me. My son was taking notes actually, so that was really impressive. And then my daughter's like, I'm hungry, in front of everybody, right? Mm-hmm. And so I quickly looked at them like, she just ate. I'm not starving my daughter. She just ate not long ago, half an hour ago. But I think she wanted
Probably
fast
bored.
food.
Yeah, okay.
And so on our way there, she had mentioned that she wanted to eat something. I said, well, when we're done, we can grab something to eat. So of course, right when we got to the meeting, the first thing she says is she's hungry, making it seem like I'm starving her, but no, it's not happening. And yeah, so that was kind of embarrassing because I'm at this formal meeting and then she's talking about being hungry. So, yeah, one of those moments.
Yeah, they want it now.
Yes.
In my time.
Yeah.
Right.
And with audience, right? So of course I should give it.
Right. Leave what I'm doing to go and get it. Yeah. Of course. Yeah. Kids are classic for those things, and I definitely can relate. My son has done those things. I'm just like, what are you doing? Yeah. You're in front of people, so you can't even really respond. And I think they know this. Yeah. I think they know mommy's not gonna respond the way she would if there's people watching. Yeah. I'll give it to them. They know how to make use of the environment.
Of course.
So we'll give it to them.
Of course.
My first question for you is share your introduction to motherhood. How was that experience? Was anything surprising? Anything you felt you could have done differently? What was that introduction for you?
Wow. My introduction to motherhood was in 2016 when I had my son. But prior to having my son, I've always wanted to be a mom. I've always felt that God wanted me to be a mother. I've always felt that it was something that was a unique experience. And so my desire and yearning for motherhood made me want to be the perfect mom for my kids. And so we went through a period of infertility, which I share a lot about because with our community, we're very open with a lot of things that happen within our Black community that we don't discuss. So we went through that phase and then finally got pregnant and I was just ecstatic. So of course, me being the perfectionist that I am in some areas, I started doing all my research, reading, all those pieces. I didn't want to miss
anything,
nothing from, how much baby should be eating to diapers, how many they should be wearing, pooping, nursery, all those things, right? I was so involved in it and I never really thought about the postpartum period. I don't know how I never thought about it because in the field that I work in that area, working in supporting moms and developing all these programs for them. And so for me, it was somewhat of like something that I felt that I would kill it. I would perfect it. I would just do so well in it. And so it's not something that I need to spend time on. So I think for me, when I became a mother, that was one of the real shockers for me, was the fact that I didn't realize the emotional, physical aspect of it. Just the training of being a mother and taking care of a little one who needs your every moment, every season. So that was one of the shockers for me, was just the intensity around motherhood and the toll it can take on you. The toll it can take on you if you're not careful. I find that a lot of us mothers, we go into motherhood, like myself, thinking that it's going to be this perfect ideology, all these expectations, what we see on social media, and then we want to emulate that.
Of course.
It's not realistic, right? And so finding a balance between what works for you and also what works for you and your family, and just making it work in that aspect, because motherhood is real. Motherhood is real. And I always say, like, I saw this meme, it said motherhood is a calling, and it really spoke to me. It really spoke to me, because you can't do motherhood blindly. You truly cannot. There has to be some sort of further knowledge, further support, further help that you need to really, really dig into. And again, like for me, when I talk about motherhood, I think about the purpose of being a mother, and it's very purposeful. We're raising children who again depend on us, but at the same time, we also have to find ways to ensure that we are at our optimal health, so that we can also take care of them.
Yeah, definitely. I would agree with you. When I was pregnant with my son, like, I didn't do much. Like, I knew what postpartum depression was. Like, I knew, I had an idea, but I guess I didn't do a deep dive into it, like, that I know that I'm capable of doing in ways that I do other things.
Yeah.
I was just like, what?
Yeah.
Like, why? Why didn't I do? And I still don't know why I didn't do that.
That's the thing.
But it's like, it's not, that would be out of character for me to not. And I just,
exactly.
maybe I thought it wasn't going to happen to me.
Well, I think the thing is like, we feel that because we do so well in other areas, that postpartum isn't a place where we should even spend more time in. Because we spend a lot of time in the prenatal aspect of pregnancy and so forth. So postpartum should come naturally to us. We should be able to get up, do things the way that we've been doing.
Right.
Not knowing that when we do give birth, we are a totally different person. We're a totally different woman. And so how do we welcome that? How do we accept that? How do we support that in that varying different ways? So I think that's one of the things that we're always pushing is being still, knowing that at this stage, postpartum, you're a different person. Your needs have changed. So just
you have changed.
You have changed.
Yeah,
exactly. You have changed, and just being self-aware of those pieces, I think really, really helps in knowing what you need and really finding ways to support what you need.
Yeah, definitely. I would agree with you. And all, I think I discovered all of those things as I was in it. And then learning to speak up and really ask for what I need. And sometimes you don't really even know what you need. But I definitely will say that as I was like going through the journey of postpartum is when I really started like, this is, I'm not at my optimum.
No,
like,
exactly.
I need to do something different.
For sure. Like, I think for me, when my husband actually brought it to my attention, because I would become very irritable. I was one of those moms who wanted to stick to the schedule. You know, baby had to eat 4 bottles at 4 hours. It was ridiculous. And baby could not watch TV before 2 years old. Like, I was just and my dad would laugh at me. He's like, you watch TV and look how you turn out. You're okay. But I'm like, no, my son or daughter's not going to do that. So please don't do that when they're visiting.
Right.
So I was very, very stringent on those pieces. And whenever anything was out of sorts, I would become very irritable. And I just, there was moments where the way that I thought I was going to love motherhood didn't come naturally in those moments, because it was stealing like those scheduling, those strive for strive for like perfection. Those pieces were just taking the joy out of motherhood for me, when I should have been really indulging in him and his growth and even my growth too, right? But I was so encompassed in just being that perfect mother, showing him off in a sense because he was like this chubby baby. And in our culture, it's like, if he's chubby, then that means you're doing a good job. Not knowing like mommy's starving herself just so she can feed baby, right? Like she's not taking time for herself. And so that's one of the things that I think really was an eye-opener for me, was that I didn't take a lot of time for myself to take care of myself. So my husband brought that to my attention. And I remember my mother-in-law who came to visit too, later on brought it to my attention and said, hey, like, you need to take care of yourself. Yeah. Because your baby's fine, he's growing, he's developing well, but it's time for you to take care of yourself.
Yeah, that's nice that you had like an advocate in your husband and then your mother-in-law also. Because I know like, obviously our husbands like want the best for us, but I feel like it's different when a mom says it to you too. Then you might be like, oh yeah, maybe you're right. Like,
the interesting part of it is my mother-in-law didn't tell me directly. She told my mom. So
maybe she didn't feel like she could take
that's the thing.
The mother-in-law.
Yes, exactly. That's so funny. She told my mom, and then my mom's like, well, I was there because when I had baby, my mom came to visit for about 3 weeks, and then she left, and then my mother-in-law came. So my mom's like, I was there and I didn't see anything wrong, but this is what your mother-in-law is saying. So Millie, just, take a moment back and take care of yourself. And I think, I think she probably saw a lot more than she wanted to admit, but it was, again, my strive for that perfection, wanting to do it all, not really accepting the help that was around me. Mm-hmm. So it was very detrimental to my health, and just thinking about it, it really propelled why Mom even exists today.
Right. Yeah. That's amazing. So why does Black motherhood matter? So like we have Black Maternal Health Week, we have all of these other like weeks or days that celebrate Black maternal health and just bringing awareness to a lot of the aspects of like what it is to be a Black woman and a Black mom. Why is that important? Why can't it just be motherhood?
Very good question. I think, one of the problems is the fact that, what you mentioned, Black Maternal Health Week, that's only in the States. We don't celebrate, we don't have that in Canada. So that's one of the worries that I always had. And so Black motherhood matters because the fact that there's a crisis, and it's being shown in statistics in the United States, but not in Canada. Right. So Canada doesn't gather gender or ethnicity-based data to help support what is truly going on, because we know that a lot of things that happens down south, it's usually happening here in Canada
and in the UK.
Exactly, and in the UK. But UK has made progress. Now UK has Black Maternal Health Week, which is amazing. So we're hoping that Canada can also work towards that, so that we can also have Black Maternal Health Week, because I think it really highlights the need for us to really come together, bring awareness as to what is happening, like the disparities that is happening, the crisis that's happening, like you mentioned. Black women are 3 times more likely to die due to pregnancy complications, childbirth, and that's not okay. Right. A country like USA, that's very disappointing. They're very much well invested, and so why is it that Black mothers are not faring the same way as their counterparts? Right. That's very, very disappointing. So if you think about the fact that Black women are more likely to experience fibroids, we're likely to experience heart attacks, we're likely to experience gestational diabetes, hypertension, preeclampsia, like those are all big, huge things that we have to experience while we're pregnant in our most sacred moments. And so a lot of times what I read in my research is that it's not even genetic based. There's a lot of systemic issues and biases that is surrounding the healthcare system that's contributing to this. So it's really disheartening that I'm glad that the United States, at least they're getting the data, UK, they're getting the data, but with Canada, we're very much far behind, far behind. Like Statistics Canada can do far more better, of course, but I find that it's only small organizations who are coming collecting their data and collecting the data, just like MESH with Mesh Mothers Foundation. That's what we're doing, is collecting those data so that we can bring it to the bigger national stream, that this is what's going on, and there needs to be some more eyes and some more data collection.
Yeah, absolutely. You're like spot on. Like just the fact that it is happening, I think that, and there's so many stories, like there's so many documentaries, there's so many, like this is not unique. There's so many other people who are doing like this work so that we can start collecting data on that. So it's like, okay, can you please like do what is necessary so that we can get the resources and the funding.
Yes.
We need the dollars.
Oh,
the dollars
for
are
sure.
important
For sure.
to get this work
Exactly.
done.
Exactly. If we don't have the data, then we don't have the financial means to also put out programs and resources to help meet the unique needs of Black mothers, because we know that our health needs are completely different than other people, and so we need to be cognizant of that and really push forward with advocating for our health, because our children are going to be growing up and we need to make sure that we're creating a better future for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And just even having that data informs information. So like even when like doctors are going to school, that will inform how they deal with Black and brown patients, and just like all that information is so important. So
for sure,
I'm hoping that Canada will.
We're striving. We're striving. Like I think, you know, with one of the ways that Mom is striving to help connect with other organizations who also work within the maternal health area, is that we want to bring that awareness, because a lot of times even within the maternal health area, it's a lot of focus on Caucasian health. Right. And so with Black mothers' health and their disparities that they're going through, there's no light that's being shine on it. So a lot of times too, what we're doing is putting that information out there. And a lot of it is anecdotal stories that we've heard, that I've had the privilege of sitting with other mothers and hearing about their stories and their most intimate struggles and trauma. And so I'm very, very glad and happy to be in that position to be able to propel the information that they've provided for me right now, and then hopefully using that to help with our outcome in the future.
Yeah, of course. So since we're here in Edmonton, Alberta, and all of the research that you do, and just like you mentioned, like hearing the stories from women and the organizations that you work closely with, are there any barriers that Black women face that are unique to living in Edmonton or Alberta in general?
Very good question again. I think with Edmonton, because, well, right now we know that Edmonton has a growing Black population, and so we want to highlight the fact that because we have a growing Black population, we need to also find ways to meet our needs. Right. And so with research into how Black moms are faring when it comes to maternal health, Edmonton, we haven't done that at all. What we're going to be doing as an organization is looking into the maternal mental health of Black mothers. And so that's something that we're going to be doing this year, that is supported by United Way of Canada. So we're very pleased to be getting that funding to do that. Now, when it comes to barriers, again, it's more of anecdotal stories that we've heard. It's a lot of mothers feeling as though they are not being listened to. There's a lot of misdiagnoses when it comes to their health. There's a lot of lack of representation within the healthcare system. I mean, this is third pregnancy, but
it's okay by the time it airs.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's my third pregnancy, and I think about the doctor visits that I've had for the last 8 years, going into Royal Alex, which has a huge maternal health area, right? A lot of times when you go there, you won't see people that look like me. You won't see nurses or doctors that look like me at all. And so I remember my own experience of them trying to find my vein and them poking me several times until they had to call the anesthesiologist.
The anesthesiologist to come and find your vein?
That's crazy. Come and find my vein. And he also said it. He was from Middle Eastern or something. He said, you know, a lot of times these nurses, they're not trained to work with people who look like me, right? Because a lot of times when they're doing practicums or when they're doing trainings, it's with people, they encounter only people that look like them.
Right.
And so that's where, you know, their training and knowledge comes from. So that's why it makes it very difficult for them to find your vein and so forth. And so that really puts us in a very dire situation.
Of course.
Because you have I had 5 or 6 nurses come and try, and that was very traumatizing. I remember I was about to give birth. I was about to give birth. I'd gone in, I started dilating, and then imagine somebody trying to poke you several times until they can find a specialist to come and do that. So that was very heartbreaking. And that's my own personal experience. Other barriers that I find mothers face is the fact that breastfeeding. We know how natural breastfeeding is and how well it is for baby to be breastfed.
Right.
A lot of Black mothers find that they are coerced or encouraged to use bottles because the nurse will not have time to really support them to help baby latch. And it's a lot with the first time moms, right? So I hear lots of experiences, lots of stories about our Black moms just going straight to the bottle because they never really had a good nurse who was going to take the time to help them teach baby how to latch, or a lactation nurse on unit to help support them in that journey. So that's another huge barrier that moms face. And then within the postpartum period, I think Mesh of Mothers is the only organization that focuses on maternal health, especially within the postpartum period, and finding ways to help build community and resources for us to really help support our mental well-being. So again, there's a huge lack of resource, lack of information that's out there when it comes to the postpartum period, and a lot of moms are experiencing postpartum mood or anxiety disorder. So finding ways to help support them, I think, is optimal, because if we don't support them, that means that we're failing our children, we're failing the next generation. A healthy mom is a healthy child and a healthy family. So let's put emphasis on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm actually really shocked by that breastfeeding. Like that is, I feel like when you said that, I feel like, oh, am I in like 1990? Like that is wow, and so heartbreaking. And I think a barrier, like for me, even when we first moved here, I was like, okay, let me go and look and see if there's like a BIPOC midwifery clinic. That was my first, like one of my first Google searches. Like, let me go and look and see like who, if we decide to have another child, let me go and see who can do that. Because like I had a midwife for my son, and I love my experience. And granted that it was COVID, I wasn't able to have like the full experience of my midwife coming to my house the 6 week after. Like I still saw her, but it wasn't at my home. So I didn't get all those experiences, but I still love my experience. I had an Indigenous and a Black midwife. It was, beautiful. My Indigenous midwife advocated for me because I ended up having an emergency C-section. And so a lot of things that I wanted to do, delayed clamping, like holding him first, and then like him like nursing immediately before we did anything else, where a lot of things are part of my birth plan. So
and even talking about birth plans, a lot of us don't create birth plans, and then oftentimes you go in blindly and you're coerced to having, again, black moms are more likely to have C-sections and preterm labor and all these things, right? So a lot of times when we don't have someone who's advocating for us, a midwife, a doula, it just really creates another barrier for us. But again, those are all expenses too that most of us moms cannot afford.
Right.
And then again, when you look at the fact that there's limited amount of doulas and midwives that look like us here in Edmonton. And so again, just wanting to highlight the fact that Mom Now is creating a database of maternal health professionals who work within that sphere in Edmonton and all across Canada. So if you're anywhere in Canada, you'll be able to have access to it. And this was actually propelled by one of our moms who was looking for a doula sometime last year. And I'm like, wow, let's look for a doula here in Edmonton. That should be easy. And I remember I was looking online, researching, and I only found one, but she had reached out to her and her clinic was closed or so. And so I'm like, that's a huge barrier, right? Because if you do have the financial means to get a doula, who of course looks like you'll have a better health outcome. So why is it that we can't access that? So again, we brought that to United Way, and they were able to help support that database creation that's ongoing, and we're hoping to launch this year.
Nice. I'm really excited about that, because I was just like, and it's comfort, right? Because like I wanted a midwife because I wanted a particular way of birth, and I wanted the person to be Black or like BIPOC, because they understand what is happening, and they can advocate for me when I'm not able to. And literally, so said, so done. My midwife was able to advocate for me when like we had a C-section. Of course, you can't do all of those things. They try to get you in and out. But when my son was like cleaned and like they were done with him, she's like, okay, bring the baby to Nikita. Like that's the voice I can hear on the table. She's like, okay, we need to bring him to her now. Like, let's go, like rushing them on. And I was just like, oh my goodness, thank you for this person, because I don't know what I would have done considering how fast things
happen. The minute you get into the hospital, it's like this and this and that, this has to happen. And you get shocked,
And
right?
we were very
overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Very, very overwhelmed with everything, the information that's coming, the people that's coming in the room. Oh my goodness, it's just very, very overbearing. So I'm just thinking, if you were a mom who was a new immigrant, language barrier, a cultural barrier, all those pieces, how you would have handled that situation without having somebody advocate for your needs.
Right.
The advocacy is so, so important.
No, it is. And even like when they told us, because I wasn't dilating, I was at 4 centimeters for like 10 hours. So they're like, okay, and I was induced. So they're like, okay, we're gonna have an emergency C-section. And even that, me and my husband were like, what? No, that's not the plan. Like our plan is water birth. Like, and my midwife was like, okay, can we have a moment to talk about this and whatever? And they let us have a moment. And then they bring paperwork to you. And I'm like, huh?
Very insensitive at times.
I was like, but okay. Yeah. And then like you feel like you just have to sign it. You just have to sign. Like no one really explains it. Like, I mean, I guess they're explaining it, but like you're not in the headspace to receive information and to digest it well.
You're dilating at that time. Look at the pain that you're going through, and now someone's bringing paper in front of you to sign, and you're like, "What? Okay,
just sign."
Just so like, you can just have a moment to yourself.
It's
so you
like,
can think.
Oh man, it's like, But yeah, I'm really grateful for her, and so I was like, that service needs to be available. And I believe even in Alberta, which I'm not 100% certain, but although midwifery care is free in Canada, I think there's like a limit in Alberta to how many and who and something like that.
Yeah.
So, which is, the insurance aspect of it is a little bit more limited. That's what I'm gathering, understanding. So that's another barrier to care that people are desiring to have. So
absolutely. Yeah. There's just so much to unpack when it comes to maternal health, because there's just so many areas and so many gaps again that we need to certainly fill. But again, I think having those conversations about what that looks like is the first step, and I'm glad that we're talking about it today.
Absolutely. So let's talk about Mesha Mothers. Why did you start? What's inspired you? And what are some of the things that have, I guess, blown your mind as you've gone on this journey to build this organization?
So we started back in 2021, and in 2019, I had my second child. And so that was during the pandemic, and I was home, which was great for me.
Yeah.
But then I recall during that period, so sometime in 2020, watching the news and just listening to the health disparities that Black people in general were going through, because we know that the pandemic negatively affected us more than any other race. And so looking at that, I wanted to just reach out to my girlfriends who were either just had babies or were mothers of their own, just because I wanted to see how they were doing. And once I started reaching out to them, it just reminded me of when I first had my baby in 2016, the isolation that I sometimes felt, then just really expressing some of the depressive moments that they were having. I remember one mom telling me about experiencing depression. However, she didn't feel safe enough or supported enough in her relationship to even share with her spouse.
Okay.
And then also remember like other moms telling me about some of just those conflicts that they were having internally, mentally, emotionally, but just not knowing exactly where to go.
Right.
So essentially that's what propelled our organization, is just me seeing the resonation between what I experienced in 2016 and then seeing other moms in 2020 experience some of those similar emotions, and then finding out that we don't have spaces for us to really come together, to unite, to share about these experiences. And then I also remember like during those times, like in 2016, looking at mom groups and wanting to attend those, and I did attend, but it just didn't feel safe enough.
Right.
It didn't feel familiar. So again, with Mesh of Mothers is that we're creating that cultural familiarity. We're wanting to build community. We're wanting to create a space where we can bring awareness to maternal health, maternal mental health, and all those things in between, because we recognize that our moms are going through quite a lot.
Right.
A lot of times they don't feel safe enough to share this with the general public or with a therapist or with someone that just doesn't look like them. So creating those spaces where we can have dialogues and conversations about the challenges of motherhood, the triumphs of motherhood, I think really helps create unity and decreases isolation within our community.
Absolutely. And even sometimes, I don't know about you, but I know like when after I had my 6 weeks with my midwife, and then we start going to our doctor, there was really no questions about like, how am I doing? Like, are you okay? Like, do you feel irritable? Like, there was really no ask.
Yeah.
It was just, okay, your kid has to get, well, in Ontario, the doctor gives the needles. So he would just give our son the needles, and we would ask any questions about like the child, and that was it. That was the end of the whole bit.
Yeah.
And it was like,
the 6-week checkup is just really not conducive to our health at all. And even when they do the depression scaling to determine whether or not if you're depressed or not, it's the Edinburgh depression scale.
Okay.
So that's very generic depression scale that they use. It's not culturally informed.
Okay.
So it would never even catch like if I'm feeling depressed.
Right.
It will not catch it. Right. So we look at even the tools that they're using to measure depression or anxiety, and the fact that it's not culturally informed. And so how does that benefit us as Black people? It doesn't. So again, looking at more culturally informed scaling that they can use to help support Black moms' mental health or well-being is optimal. If you have a doctor who will ask you questions outside of those, maybe they may be able to garner, because we know that our anxiety, our depression looks different, right? Than other our counterparts. So I think we need to also take that into consideration when it comes to how we measure, how we treat and diagnose depression and other mood disorders for Black people.
Absolutely. So what was like your biggest like your biggest like, oh my goodness, I'm actually doing this thing, or like what?
Every day. Even me sitting here, I'm like, whoa. I think for me, it's the fact that people are yearning for community.
Okay.
The fact that people wanted to join our community. That threw me away, and it still throws me away. And my husband, I'm always telling my husband, he's like, Milicent, do you not know what you just did? Like,
right.
You're doing something that is a niche. You're building and creating something that is a need within our community. And I know that that's what you're doing, but it's always a surprise to me when I see somebody become a new member. I'm like, oh, somebody wants to join our community. They want to join our WhatsApp platform. They want to learn more about maternal health. That's amazing. So I think for me, it's like just seeing any new mom come into our community, because I know even within our community, there's a lot of, again, isolation, right? There's a lot of stigma within coming together because of past experiences or so. So any mom that I see come to our workshops, programs, our community who's engaging with our WhatsApp platform, who's willing to share a lot about themselves so that other people can feel less lonely. For those, all those pieces, just it brings me joy. I know that there's a purpose in what we're doing.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I will agree. I don't even remember how I found Special Mother. I think maybe posted something about Mother's Day. Oh. And like, I feel like for myself, because like being new to Edmonton, I'm like, okay, I need to find all the things. And then so like, and when I moved here, my son was 8 months, and it was just me and my son. My husband was working like 12-hour shifts. Wow. So it was just me and the kid at home every day. I was just like, oh my God, this kid's gonna drive me crazy.
Yes, either you're gonna go crazy or he's gonna go
crazy. And it's likely going to be me that's gonna go crazy. And I was like, yeah, I need to find things, people, I don't know, whatever. And I think it was the Mother's Day thing that I stumbled on. And I was like, oh, like, what is this? How do I join this? Like, let me figure this out. Yeah. So yeah, I would say like being like a new mom, I guess, finding that community was like, yeah, this feels good. And I'm glad to like there being a space so we can have like conversation. I think like that's the biggest thing, like having a space, like we feel things and we don't necessarily always know how to get it out. But when you hear someone else say like, oh yeah, that's how I feel. That's what I went through. And then gives you language.
Exactly.
Right. And I think like it may sound like a simple thing, but like it's a big deal. It makes a world of a difference when you hear someone articulate what you're feeling so you know that you're not alone.
Exactly.
So I love the community and just like knowing that you're in relationship with people who are interested in like mobilizing you as you journey through like motherhood.
Exactly. And I just love that because people are genuinely wanting you to do okay, wanting you to do great, wanting you to really prosper in motherhood and find joy in it. So when someone shares stories about their lives, that to me is just, it's groundbreaking. It's groundbreaking because with our culture, we're taught to hide everything and just, be that strong Black mom, but we know that it doesn't serve us well in the long run. And so how do we, slowly become vulnerable enough so that we can heal, we can help support ourselves and help support our community? Because again, a lot of people are yearning for that community and that sense of belonging. So it's truly magnificent to see the growth that we have achieved just within the last 2.5 years of starting our not-for-profit organization.
Nice. Yeah, that's amazing. It's commendable. So congratulations again.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing how things started and where we are right now, where we want to go, and just the successes that we've had so far.
Yeah. So I know that you are not originally from Edmonton, and I'm assuming that you had all your kids here.
Yes.
And your family isn't here. Right. So as someone that's new, well, not new anymore, but new to Edmonton, how have you been able to like navigate being a mom, working, being a wife without that kin support? Like that's essential. Like obviously people like offer their support and they offer help, but there's nothing like kin support. Like I know that my mom is gonna wake up at 2 a.m. to come deal with this child, right? And like who are you really gonna call to come help you at 2 like, you know what I mean? So there's nothing like kin support. So how have you been able to like navigate those different things and support yourself and just like allow yourself to be able to navigate well?
I think for me, moving here and starting a family here, just knowing I think my husband and just a friend who were living here, it definitely has been an eye-opener for me because raising children without your immediate support is quite challenging. So for me, what I had to navigate was just my own internal need for support. I think in the past, I would not be willing to ask for support or for help. But now I'm realizing that when I do ask for help or support, it's a sign of strength. It's a sign of me reaching out, connecting, and really building that community again. So for me, I had to let go of that need to always want to do things for myself and just really reach out to people. We've been able to create family here, which is exceptional. And I think most of them are actually from my church. So that's been good. But it's really nice to be able to develop that relationship with people that you did not know you had no familial connection with. But now you can just call them at any time and they'll be there for you. And also, I think it's because I've built myself to be that for other people. So now it makes it easier for them to do it for me. Right. So it's almost as if, be the friend that you want to be or to see. Right. If you want something, why don't you emulate it first, right? So that other people can also somehow, it can be somewhat of a magnet for them so that they can also attract those same qualities that you're looking for in somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess that kind of enters like, how would you encourage a mom who is in that position? Like they don't have any family support. It's just them and maybe a spouse or other children. And they are like, okay, how am I going to do this? Yeah. So like being the person that you want to be or being the person that you want people to be to you.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. It's like, if you want a good friend, be a good friend to that person. Right. So I think for me, what I would tell that person is, again, be open to opportunities. Know that you cannot do it alone. You cannot do motherhood in isolation. That's a fairy tale. Motherhood is not meant to be done in isolation. Parenting is not meant to be done in isolation. You need to really, really connect with other people, and it's hard. It's unfamiliar. It's challenging. It goes against what maybe you've been taught, right? Yeah. And so it's hard to trust people, but I would guarantee you that there are people who are trustworthy out there who want the best for you. And so I would really encourage people to just really have an open heart, open mind, and know that there's opportunities out there to connect with people. Connection is so important to our livelihood as human beings. So find ways to connect with people outside of just the nuclear family that you have. There's lots of resources out there in the community. So just reach out, go online, and just find those pieces there for you.
Yeah, I think it's interesting how, like, as Black individuals from the Black diaspora, that when we move like west, it's almost like, well, I think it's even how like the West is designed, because like, well, not, I don't know this firsthand, but like I even from being in like the group of Mesha mothers and other groups, I listen to the stories of women that are from Africa, and they talk about like how they had so much help, and their mom, their aunt, whoever, like it literally was like, we live here and everyone's your, it was literally a village. And when I listen to my mom tell the stories of like back home, like she says the same thing, it was literally a village. So it's something about being in the West that it's like, either that's just, it just disappears. Like we don't know how to do it anymore. Like it's like, okay, we like, I guess assimilate to the culture, and like we have our houses, we don't know our neighbors. We just say hi maybe in the morning when we're leaving, if we see them, if we don't back out from our garage. And just like it's almost like the West socializes us to be isolated. And so we lose all of that connectedness. And sometimes like it's difficult to even like retrain yourself, I guess, or even to reach out, because like who is going to understand this communal aspect of my being here, right? So I think that plays a big part, especially from what I'm hearing from like moms who lived that and saw it firsthand. It's like, like it seems as though you assimilate it, and then it's just so difficult to like reintegrate. And I think our lives are much different. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Like I think because we're working so much, I don't know if that is like the same back home, but I know like where my parents are from, like people are not, it's very lax. Like if I call her mom to come home, and she would just come. Like very lax. No one's really clocking you. You just come and go as you please. So like everything's a little bit more lax as opposed to like living in the West.
It's totally true. Everyone, I think, because we went back to Ghana from Ghana, so we went back to Ghana as a family last year. And a lot of them are business people, right? They're entrepreneurs, and so they're not time bound, right? So if their family member gives birth, they have the luxury to go and stay by them and help support and all these things. So that's a real luxury that they have back home. And for me, I didn't grow up in Ghana, but just hearing stories from, my mom and her telling me what would happen, after you give birth and the support that you receive, I'm just flabbergasted, because I'm like, I need to go back home and give birth and then come back here, because the support that you receive is just optimal. It's so great. And it's unfortunate that here we can't really emulate and repeat that here because of, responsibilities when it comes to job, finances, all those pieces that play a role in us being very communal. It's a huge barrier, but again, we have to also find ways to help create a sense of community amongst us. We are here. And so how do we bridge that gap and ensure that we're helping to support each other? Because our stories hold a lot of power and a lot of truth. And so using those stories, using our life experiences to help support each other, I think it's just phenomenal. What we've been doing with our organization, where people are able to share a lot about themselves as much as they would like, and then seeing how that creates a ripple effect for other mothers and help to support them in their journey.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's great. Thank you for being here with me and sharing about Mesha mothers and just all of the things that as it pertains to Black motherhood. So where can people find you, the organization?
Good question. So we are on Instagram, Mesha Mothers Foundation. We have a lot of our programming, lots of different things that are happening there that we post. You can also find us on our websites, www.meshamothers.ca. can email us at info@meshamothers.ca. If you want to email me directly, melicent.asidu@meshamothers.ca. And again, we have lots of different programs that happens within the year, like psychoeducation programs and workshops. We have maternal mentorship. We have Mommy and Me programs. We have fitness programs we've had in the past. And so lots of really great things that's happening. Mother's Day galas that's upcoming. We also have our summer barbecue that's coming up. And again, I wanted to highlight the fact that a lot of our programs, we engage a lot of our moms in it.
Yeah.
And so there's, that information sharing, there's that skill building, there's just really great opportunities for our moms to really engage in their own health and self-care. We also have our bi-weekly support group that Missy here is also facilitating tea time with mom. So that's been going really, really well. So yeah, lots of different opportunities to engage, and we just encourage people to really just not just look at what they can gain from the organization, but what they can also contribute to it, because again, it's our organization, and the way we want it to propel to succeed, it all depends on us. So yeah, thank you so much.
And what you always say, it's for us by us.
Yes, for us by us. Yeah, we're informed by what our moms want, and so we create what our moms need just based on what our moms are saying they're needing. So yeah, it's been a pleasure. Yeah,
I'm excited. Thank you so much again.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure talking about mesh. So yeah, thank you so much. And anytime you want to talk about mesh and maternal health and mental health, I'm definitely open to doing that.
You are the person to call.
Yeah, just call me. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening and watching this episode of Melanin Convos. Melanin Convos is directed and produced by Nikita Bucknor, editing, audio, and video production by Tamwa Ladajo. If you'd like to support Melanin Convos, share this episode with a friend or visit our website in the show notes. We are amplifying Black voices and creating a sisterhood of mom friends.